Hello and welcome. Today we are fixing Git mistakes, and that is often what happens after a quick start. Previously I issued a quick start guide and we'll recap very quickly because it has some hints to fixing mistakes along the way that we didn't cover before. Of course, the first thing you must do, I already did with this repository, is use git init to initialize Git in your project. After that, you usually check the status, and it says we are up to date with origin master, and that is what we have at GitHub, and we linked those in the quick start guide. It says nothing to commit, working tree is clean. So let's remove a paragraph and save the file and see what Git says to us now. When we come back and check the status one more time, and now we have a modified file. You see the M by the index in the file tree, and in Git bash, our terminal window, you see modified index.html, but there are some hints above this as well. Now, we haven't added anything, we haven't committed anything. It says changes not staged for commit, and you stage a file or a change for commit when you add it. And so it says use git add file to update what will be committed. You can also use git restore file to discard changes in the working directory. So if we made a mistake, if we decide something we changed in this file is not what we want to have had happen, and we just want to discard those changes, we can do git restore index.html, and our third paragraph has returned up here in our indexed HTML file. Now once again, I'll remove that so we can go on and test something else. We'll come back here and we'll check the status, and there's our modified file. Now I want to go ahead and add the file, and now I have staged it for commit. So let's check the status again, and now it says changes to be committed, and you can use git restore -- staged to unstage the file. And so now if we added a file that we did not previously want to add, for some reason we've staged it for a commit using the add command, and we do not want it there and we do not want to commit it, we can use git restore -- staged index.html, and now it once again, if we check the status, that file will need to be added. It is no longer staged for a commit. And so that gives us a couple of hints as we go through the process. Okay, we've used git status to check our status, just like we did above here several times on our branch. There's also something we can do to check our commits and our history, and that is git log. Let me make the terminal window the full size of the screen here. Git log, and here is a full history of our commits. Notice each commit has a very long ID, and we've got more details with each commit as well. And here you can see remove paragraph, added third paragraph, each commit message along the way. But if we don't want something that's quite so large, we can pare that down by using the -- oneline flag. Now let's look at our message. And so this is what I usually do. I use git log -- oneline, and now you can see a smaller ID for each commit, and you can see it says we're on the master right here, and here is the removed paragraph commit message, and below that added third paragraph, and you can see I pulled that in from origin master at GitHub. We haven't discussed pull yet, and here were the previous commits we had also made, and so it gives us that full history. So let's say we just made a commit and we want to change that message. We left out a note that we should have added, or we left a typo, whatever it is, and I typed remove paragraph, and you can see just by the standard formatting here, all the other commits start with a capital letter, and for some reason I didn't go ahead and format that commit the way I had previous commits, and I want to change that. We can change that commit message. What we need to do is type git commit -v, which is a verbose flag, and then -- amend. And this is going to give us a little bit of a different looking text editor. Here it goes. And there it is. Okay, this looks more like a text editor we'd see in Linux. And here is our commit message. At the top, removed paragraph. And you can see at the bottom of the screen, even here it says Unix, commit, edit message. What we need to do are use some keys you might not be used to. We're going to type the key I for insert, but that will let the text editor become active. And now I can type capital R, backspace over the lowercase r. Now this is the one that I want to keep. And so now I need to do Shift:, whoops, I need to do escape first, sorry. So we need to escape out of the editor. And now with the escape key, and now do Shift:, and I want to do W for write, and then Q for quit. And now you can see we have amended our commit message. So when we do git log --oneline, you can see our removed paragraph now has the capital R. But I could have changed that entire message if I wanted to. Okay, so one of the more powerful things about Git is the ability to create branches. And that is because we can have an active code base, say a website that we've already designed and deployed, and we have that as our active master branch, our master code base, and you can see that's what Git defaults to. But then we want to create a new branch and redesign the header for the website and keep all of that code in the new branch and only merge it when we have tested it and confirmed that it's ready. Or say we're working on a team and we assign the styling, the web design part of it to one team member, we assign a new header to another team member, or the logic behind the search engine, something like that. And those can all be different branches and then merged back into the existing code base when they're ready. So let's take a look at that. Right now we're on the branch master, and we can type git branch -- list and list all the branches, and you can see we only have the master branch. So we can create a new branch, and let's say we're going to make a new header for our website with git branch, and I'll type my new header. And now I can type git branch -- list, and you can see both branches listed. And in green is the master, and our prompt also shows master. You can see we're still on the master. So we need to switch to the my new header branch to write our new code for our new header. And we'll type git checkout my new header. And it says switch to branch my new header, and you can see at the prompt it also says my new header. We are now on the my new header branch, and this is where it can get confusing, but we are keeping a different code base. Essentially we're working with the same code base we start at, but now they can diverge and go in different directions. However, if a file isn't tracked, it can be confusing. So let's add a page 3 HTML file, and we can do that kind of like a Linux command here, even though I'm on Windows, with touch page3.html. Of course, we could also come over here into the file tree and just use the new file icon, but no, you can do it this way. I'll enter and look in our file tree. We now have page3.html. Now see, it is untracked. So at this point, if we switch back to the master, we're not really tracking that page3.html file in our my new header branch yet. So if we just git checkout master, we're still going to see it over there in the file tree. It's just an untracked file. It doesn't really belong to either branch at this point. So I'm in master, and this can be confusing because you could think, shouldn't that file only be in our new branch? Not yet, because it's untracked. So let's switch back to my new header. Now we're in the my new header branch, and I'll do git add all. And well, let's check this. Oh, there, it shows added. It just took a second to update. It has been added. And now we can go git commit message added new page. And now we're still in the my new header branch, and we have added that page 3 and committed it in our my new header branch. Now if I switch back to the master branch, get checkout master, look, page 3 is no longer here in the file tree. That's because it does not exist in the master branch. It's something we've added, and we've only added it to that new branch. So when I switch back to my new header, page 3 shows back up, and we can edit the code. We could also make changes. Now that we're in the my new branch, let's add some more paragraphs. Let's say we're going to add 3 lorem ipsum paragraphs here with 10 words. This is an Emmet shortcut, and we've added those paragraphs. Let's save the file. Let's add our changes, stage them to be committed. Now let's commit the changes. To index. This is all in the my new header branch. We check the status. Everything looks good there. Let's check the log in this branch. And you can see in the log, we've got added new page, added new paragraphs, and it shows this is all under the my new header branch. Now let's switch back to the master. And look, those new paragraphs have disappeared from the index page. We no longer have our third page here. We are back to the way things were. And that is because we have a branch system where we can develop new code and not merge it into the code that we have deployed until it is ready. And so now we've got the 2 different branches going, and we've decided that, hey, we made a mistake. We want to rename my new header, and we're going to call it my new content, because clearly we've added another page, not just a header. We've added paragraphs, and so we named that incorrectly. So how do we rename a branch? We use get branch -m, and now we want to say my new header, name the old branch, and now we want to say my new content, the name of the new branch. And so now when we do get branch --list, you can see we have master and my new content. So let's switch over to the my new content branch, which is the new name. And you can see it still has all that new code. It has the new paragraphs, it has the new HTML page, and we are in the my new content branch, and that is the new name for what we were calling my new header. Now let's also take a look at the log for each. Oops, can't type. Here's get log one line, and it shows my new content and master. So let's switch back to master. And look, our log on the master doesn't have those new commits because it has not been merged with the new branch yet. So our new content log looks different than our master log. Okay, I should also show you a shortcut that is commonly used. Sometimes you can do the checkout and create a new branch all on one line. And this is very common practice. Instead of doing get branch, the new name of the branch, and then get checkout to switch to that branch, you can type get checkout -b, which means you want to create the new branch, all on the same line. And then we can say my new branch, and we have switched to the new branch and created the new branch all at once. So now if I do get branch --list, you can see we have master, my new branch, my new content, and we've already switched to my new branch. Now let's say we created a new branch by mistake and we simply want to remove that branch. We can do that with get branch dash capital D. We're going to delete the branch and say my new branch. Oh, cannot delete new branch. We're not checked out yet. So let's go get checkout master. And we want to be on the master. We don't want to be in the branch we're trying to delete. Now let's go ahead and type get branch dash capital D my new branch. And yes, we've deleted the new branch. So when we go get branch dash dash list, we're back to master and my new content as the existing branches. Okay, we've learned about new branches, but now let's say we've completed our code or completed our new feature, header, whatever we're working on, and we're ready to merge it back in. So you need to know how to merge your branch back into the master, and that is simply with get merge and then type the branch name, get merge my new content, and you can see it says we fast forwarded because there were changes that the master was not up to date on. So we fast forwarded and added those changes. There's 11 new lines of code. Page 3 actually has no content, but it did add the new file. So 2 files changed with 11 insertions, and now those branches are merged. We can check our status. Everything seems fine here. We're ahead of our origin master by 2 commits, which is at GitHub. We haven't pushed our code to GitHub yet. Let's check the log. And now our master log has all of the changes that we were just seeing with new content. And you can see master and new content are both at the same point. So they have been merged and one is not ahead of the other. We're all at the same point and everything is in agreement. And that's great. But let's say we have a problem, and problems can arise with a merge. So we need to go ahead and make a change in each branch that will create a problem, and that happens when we change code on the same line. So we're in master. Let's switch back to my new content. And now we'll make a change here. Say this is a paragraph. Let's just say this is a sentence. We have changed that. And we will check our status here. We have modified a file, so we want to add, and then we want to commit. We'll put corrected content. And we've committed that in my new content. Once again, that change is only in the my new content branch. Let's check out, go back to the master. Now in master, it still says this is a paragraph. Now here I want to say this is a short paragraph. Now I have changed the same line of code in each branch. So it's going to create a conflict when we attempt to merge. Let's do that. Get merge my new content. And of course we're in the master branch when we're merging in other branches. So get merge my new content. I'll hit enter. And yes, we are going to have, oh, we didn't make our commit yet in the master. I should do that first. Let's go get add. It's warning me that I was going to lose my changes. Do that, get add, commit, I'll put changed to short paragraph. Okay, now we have commits in each branch that are not going to agree because we have changed the same line of code in each branch. So let's try that, get merge again. Get merge my new content. Yes, and it tells us instantly there is a conflict. And there's a merge conflict in index.html. Automatic merge failed, but we can fix the conflict and then merge the results. And it shows us this in the code. And Visual Studio Code gives us some options. So you can see the incoming change from the my new content branch says this is a sentence. The current change from the master branch says this is a short paragraph. And now in Visual Studio Code, we can accept the current change or accept the incoming change. We can accept both changes and kind of work it out later on. And we can even compare the changes. Let's just go ahead and keep it simple for now. And we want to accept the incoming change because this is really, well, we use the paragraph. Let's accept the current change. We'll just click either one of these. We've accepted the current change. Now notice we have a C over here for conflict at this point. And it says master, and it also says merging. So we're not quite finished yet, but we did tell Visual Studio Code we want to accept the current change. So let's check our status. And it says we have got both modified because we merged in the index page from the My New Content branch. And so it kind of wants to know what to do. And we've also got unmerged paths up here. It says fix conflicts and run git commit. So we fixed the conflict. The next thing we need to do is run git commit. And of course we could also go, we don't want to merge these yet. We want to work out the conflict before we merge them. And with that, we could do git merge -- abort to abort the merge. But we went ahead and used the Visual Studio Code option, and it let us fix the conflict fairly quickly. So we're going to do another commit, both modified. So we'll do git add. Well, no, we can just commit. Fixed conflict. Oh, let's see what it told us. Committing is not possible because we have unmerged files. Fix them up in the working tree. We did that. Oh, we needed to do the add first. Sorry about that. Git add all. Now we'll do our commit, fixed conflict. And there we should be good. Let's check the status. We're up to date, and it says this is a short paragraph, which was the change we accepted. Now everything is good to go, and we can check our log. And yes, there is our last commit message, fixed conflict. Another powerful feature of Git and working with branches is that we can go back in time to how our code was previously at a different commit level. So let's once again take a look at our log. The one-line command, and there you can see our log with each commit. And you can see in the last one we fixed our conflict. We changed to a short paragraph at that commit, added a new page down here. So let's take this ID, the shortened ID, compared to if you just look at git log, you will see a much longer ID, but we just need the short one. Let's do git checkout, and let's paste in that ID. Now we get several things here, a little bit of verbose action from Git. So let's see what it says. It said we now switched, and we switched to that point in our commit log, and it says we're now in detached head state, and we can look around, make some experimental changes, and commit them. If we switch back, we'll discard those changes essentially, but we could create a new branch and move forward from this point in time if we wanted to. And look at these commands. It says git switch with -c, which means create, and that would be a new branch name. Or we can just undo the operation with git switch and a dash. So it says right now we're at this point, the commit we wanted to go back to. And you can see it doesn't say master here or the name of any branch. It's giving that commit ID. So let's look at our log and see what it shows now that we went back in time essentially. And you can see we're just back to the added new page. And we're not on a branch, we're in the detached head state of Git. And so we're back to this point in time in our project. And once again, we could create a new branch and make changes in that branch from this point on and ignore those commits that came after, and then somehow later on merge back in if we wanted to. Or we could just come back here and look at how everything looked at that point in time. But right now, if we want to go back to where we currently are, let's go to Git Checkout Master. And now if we check our log, we'll have everything back the way it was. And so we can go back and look at things the way they were at a specific point in time using Git Checkout and the ID number. Now let's talk about undoing some things. What if we made some changes, even some commits, and we've merged things in, and then we decide we don't really like that new content at all, and we want to go back to the way things were. There are several ways to do that in Git as well. And one of those, besides we just kind of did the Git Checkout ID, and we went back in time and looked at the way things were. Let's do a, well, first of all, it looks like we haven't saved our index page here. You can see it is not saved. It has the dot, so let's go ahead and save that. Let's check our status on master and make sure everything's the way we expect it to be. It says it's modified, so we're going to add everything and quickly do a commit. Up to date changes. It really doesn't mean much at this point, but there it is. It says one file change, 4 deletions. And we'll check our status. There we go. We're ahead of our GitHub repo by 6 commits. Our GitHub repo is origin master. That's our branch at GitHub. And there's nothing to currently commit. So now let's look at that log again. And there we can see our changes. And we've got a fixed conflict, change to the short paragraph, corrected content, all of those things. And say we don't like any of that new content. So we want to go back in time and not just look around, but we actually want to go back and basically make all of these changes so they did not happen, or they've happened, but we can essentially revert them. And that's what we're going to do with the git revert, and then put in that ID number. It says auto merging index. And now we have got to do some things here. It wants us to, says this reverts this commit, and it gives the long ID. Revert added new paragraphs to index. That seems fine. We want to do shift : we'll do right quit with WQ. Press enter. And it merged, reverted to added new paragraphs to index. So if we wanted to change that commit message at that point, we could. Actually, it's a new commit message, so we could add on to it. And I'll show you what I mean by new commit message, even though we reverted back to previous code. What it did was, instead of just jumping back to this added new paragraphs to index, where we wanted the changes, we wanted our project to be like it was at this point in time and ignore all of these changes. It essentially does that by creating a new commit, reverting the changes with a new commit, and coming up here, and now it says revert added new paragraphs to index, and we've saved the updates with that revert. So we didn't really lose the previous code. We could go back and revert to these, and that's why reverting is kind of a safe change, even if we want to go back, ignore some things, because say next week we decide, no, we should go back and add that new content. We could once again revert and go back to this previous code we had as well. And so that reverting is a great way to ignore some changes, but also save those changes at the same time in case you want to go back. Now I'm going to show you a more destructive way that will get rid of the changes that we have made. And so once again, let's choose this added new paragraphs to index commit, and we will choose git reset, or is what we will use, and we'll put that. And what that is going to do is it's going to essentially uncommit. It will delete those commits. It will make the work we've done will still exist, but it will be unstaged. So let's do this. Unstaged changes after reset. And so now we have modified files. we check our status, you can see those other paragraphs are gone. If we had those before. And now let's go ahead and check our other branch. It says your local changes to the following files will be written by checkout, so I needed to have staged those first, so it didn't switch to the new branch. We'll go ahead and do that, and we will commit those. I'll say reset project to added new paragraph point in time. Okay, now I'll just check out the my new content branch. Check the status there. Nothing to commit, that's all good. Go back to the master branch. And we're ahead of our origin master by 3 commits instead of 6. So we've actually gone back in time. Let's look at our one line. And you can see this is the one we went back to, added new paragraphs to index. And now all those commits after that are gone. And the only commit that is here is the one that I just made, where we said we reset the project to the added new paragraph. Now, that unstaged a lot of the commits, and then I had to make a commit. But let's say we wanted to go back a little bit further. Let's just go back to the, well, let's go back to the same one. I'll just use the same one here because it's just one commit back. And we can tell Git, don't just unstage those commits. We just don't want them. Don't keep those around. We're finished with those. Please delete them as you do this. And that is with the hard flag. So git reset, put the commit ID we want to go back to, and with -- hard, we're discarding any changes that came after the commit that we identify. And so now, when we look at our log, it no longer has the commits that were after, I guess, the one commit. It just took us back to added new paragraphs, and it doesn't show anything modified here because there aren't any changes that aren't unstaged. It deleted all of those changes. And so that is really how you go back and remove any of those things that you no longer want. And that gets us to the end. We have covered a lot today, and because of that, I've made this Git Notes screen where you can pause the video and take some notes. Take your time, start a practice project, and practice all of these commands and get familiar with them. And that way you'll be comfortable in actually using them when you're working on a serious project or a project of your own. But just make some project like I did in this video and practice through the different commands and making changes and going to different branches and all of the things that I did in this video to help you get familiar with each aspect of the Git commands. And there are many more, and we'll cover some more in the future. Hi, I'm Dave, and I hope this tutorial has helped you learn more about working with Git. Remember to keep striving for daily progress instead of perfection. Subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to be alerted when I post new tutorials. I'll see you next time.